All right, we are back with our final segment of this week's show. We're recording on a Thursday afternoon in anticipation of Saturday's matchup with Archie's, and we are happy to have Nick Hyland join us to do a little Q&A and talk about what our forecast for this Saturday afternoon looks like. Nick, thank you for joining us.
Thank you guys for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, this is great, man.
Yeah. So, I mean, one of the reasons that I wanted to, or I thought about having Nick on is, I mean, obviously anybody who knows him and has seen him play knows he's a tremendous football player. But when we were watching the game film and I was showing Mr. Hurst some of the clips, like you just made a bunch of impactful plays on the game, I thought, especially on the defensive side. And we were both wowed at the number of yards that you guys held them to. So I more than anything, I was just impressed with the whole defensive effort. And I felt like you really led the defensive charge, and Coach Perry had nice things to say as well. So just your thoughts on, in general, the defensive game plan and how it worked and what the outcome was.
Well, I think a big thing that was good, that was helpful for the Spelman game was the preparation. Like Coach Perry, Coach Golden, all our coaches, they really figured out how to really pull everything together and put people where we needed them to put. And it was all about studying the game film from last year. Last year, it was a very rough game when we played them. So we made sure that we tied down any loose ends and made sure that we knew where they were going to go and what they were going to do, so that way we could stop it.
Were you surprised by just how effective the game planning and everything turned out to be?
Yes. Oh, actually, no. I wasn't really surprised at all. Actually, I was very confident in what the coaches were telling us, because when you watch the film and then you listen to the game plan and then you execute it in practice, it's it really shows, and then that it shows up in the game. And when you execute in the game, that's it's just everything coming together and works really well.
So, yeah, I think maybe one of the things that maybe caught some of you guys off guard, because obviously last year's game was really tough. And then this year, you guys, right from the opening kickoff, you were the aggressor this year. So that probably, I think, a couple minutes into the game, I think it seemed like everybody was like, oh, okay, we're taking control of this game and we can really go at these guys and be aggressive.
Definitely. I think a big thing that played into the game against Spelman was the emotion. The guys who were returning from last year, or even the people who watched the game last year and saw what happened, they're like, okay, we can't have this happen again. And it was just playing together as a team, and the amount of grit that came with that game and how much everybody wanted to win that. I think that was one of the most important factors.
And that was one of the things too that I know I talked about to my soccer players a lot, and maybe not something that the kids necessarily typically think of, but I remember hyping up the first game. This is our first ever game in the CCL. That should mean something to us. We should be trying to make a statement with this first game. And I know your coaches were, kind of conveying a similar message, and you could feel that in practice and the way that the game turned out.
Definitely.
So for those that don't know, Nick transferred into Stang from Moses Brown after his freshman year, correct? Yeah. So I've just been curious, what that process was like, how many schools, different schools you were looking at, or what it was that made you feel like Stang was the right fit for you.
Well, the biggest thing for me when I was transferring was trying to find somewhere where I knew I'd feel like I was at home. Trust me, I felt like I was at home at Moses Brown, but it was just really hard because it was an hour and a half away. And if that was with traffic or whatever, and the commute was just really hard to make. So when looking at schools around the area, my parents and I thought it was the best thing that I should go to Stang. And I also felt that way because there was a lot of my friends that I used to go to middle school with and that I just knew from around the area came to Stang. So I knew that Stang was probably the best option.
And how did that translate in terms of football for you?
It was nothing new. A lot of the kids that go to Stang, I have played football either with or against before.
Oh, okay.
So it's it was nothing new. It was just playing for a different team, but it was same mentality, same goals, same everything.
Awesome.
So yeah, in a football sense, what would you say, what have you found to be the biggest change from Moses Brown to staying?
Um, I definitely feel probably the biggest change was the probably the role I played. Um, Definitely, I feel that staying, there's a lot, the team's a little bit smaller, so there's a lot more, it's not pressure, but it's a lot more just responsibilities and stuff like that that comes with playing because the team's a little bit smaller. So you might have to play both sides of the ball instead of playing one. And I played one side of the ball last year. I only played defense last year, and I played defense at Moses Brown. But like playing both sides of the ball this year is definitely a big change of pace for me, but it's something I'm welcome to, and I actually really enjoy it quite a bit to be able to say I can help on both sides of the ball.
Does the shortened season and the spring season affect the way that you kind of view these upcoming games at all? Like, does this in any way feel either different or, dare I say, even less important or more important than a normal fall season with the lack of a tournament to look forward to and things like that?
Honestly, I feel that even though the way they shortened the season without playoffs and stuff like that, this season's equally as important as if there would be playoffs, because this is our first year in this new conference playing new teams and stuff. So that way we need to be able to like set the pace and like set ourselves in the league to be able to show that we can compete with these teams. And also, anytime we get to play, like we didn't think we were going to be able to have a season this year just because it's like a high contact sport. It's really hard to play with like COVID and stuff like that, but we figured it out. And the games, no game is guaranteed. I was happy to have our first game, and I just hope we can continue to do the right thing so that way we can make it throughout the season.
Great
Yeah, it's
answer.
true in that. I mean, in your lifetime, you're only given so many football games. For most people, they get a couple of high school games, maybe some Pop Warner before that. And then if you're lucky enough, you have 10 a year in college or whatever. And to lose any amount because of something like COVID or whatever, is obviously like it's a huge percentage of the number of games you'll ever play. So yeah, to be grateful for the fact that you're able to do anything is definitely, I think, the right mindset of going into this year.
Before I just wanted to ask you about some plays specifically, but before that, speaking of college, where are you kind of at in that process? Are you looking to play in college at the next level?
Yeah, I definitely am looking to play in college at the next level. I'm really trying to work stuff out right now, like between playing like football for staying and stuff, and then like camps in the off season where I can like go and show up and stuff like that. Those are like the two most important things I feel right now that are going to prepare me to be able to know like what schools are giving me what, and hopefully I can play at the next level.
Right, like showcases, stuff like that.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
Cool.
So I just wanted to ask you quickly, about a couple of the plays, and Mr. Hurst can ask about the blocked punt that we watched the other day. There was a play at the end of the first half where you came from the blind side of the quarterback. There was a little play action fake, and I know it was at the end of the first half, so they were trying to get as many yards as they could quickly. So they were in kind of a passing situation. And that, I know, for a defensive end is just like, that's ideal. That's what you want, that kind of third down when we're talking about college or pros, where you can just like pin your ears back, as they say, and go after the quarterback. But just curious, like what you saw on that play, anything that stuck out to you or how it developed. I know I talked to Mr. Hurst a lot about how Ben, who I think was next to you, occupied a couple of guys, and it kind of gave you that free run to the quarterback.
Yeah, Ben and the defensive line did a really good job against Spellman, holding on to like any lineman trying to scoop to the next level or anything like that. They did a really good job of holding their ground and making big plays for us, whether it was on the ground or getting a rush in the air. But I think that play specifically was really helpful, because usually you don't want to give up a big play going into the half, and then that swings momentum, because any momentum is big momentum in football. So I think that play, with like the help of the teammates and stuff like that, I think that play was like it was important, because we needed that energy going into the half, because I think they were driving on that play. I think it was after like a kick return or something like that. It was either a kick return or like a pretty long rush, and it was a very helpful thing to have before the half.
Well, turning then to the special teams, how much of that was expected from your perspective? I mean, was there much preparation or things on tape that you guys saw? Because the way that you ended up exploiting the Spellman team on special teams is obviously not usual. Was that just game one jitters on their end, not being totally prepared for phase 3? Or was that something that you guys knew you had a good chance of taking advantage of?
Yeah, we always special teams is like one of the most important parts of our team in general. Like we always, anytime we have practice, we always have like a dedicated time for like special teams and stuff like that. Whether it's like kickoff, kick return, punt return, all that stuff, because that's like the third facet of the game. That's like one of the most important parts of the game. And I saw they lined up a little bit differently than they had usually lined up in punt. Like their personal protector for the punter was lined out really wide, and he actually gave me I had like a perfect window right to be able to get to block it. And I think that was probably the most important part of that, was just like taking the advantage. That's what football is taking advantage of like your opponent's miscues and stuff like that. And that's what
I was gonna say. So what do they call that guy? The searchlight, right? And usually he's like the
Yeah.
last line of defense to try to get in your way. And
Yeah.
and so you kind of just like weaved right in and got perfectly to the kick. But like I was telling Mr. Hurst, like we watched those two plays back to back, and I'm like, Nick is not the person that if you're the other team, you don't want to not block that guy. You've got to get some kind of contact on him because he's coming hard into that backfield one way or another. So just the fact that you got two like free runs on both of those. I mean, I think what I was telling him is other teams are going to see that, and it's not going to be, they're going to be keying on making sure they at least chip you at the line in some respect, because they're not going to want you ruining their game plan in the backfield.
Nick, was that your first like official career block punt?
No, that wasn't the first one. I actually I blocked one freshman year against St. Ray's in the Thanksgiving Day game, but that's like one of the better feelings in football, blocking a punt, because it doesn't happen very often, but when it does, it's huge, because you can either score like Ben scored, or it gives your offense great starting field position, which is also really important.
To go from, you're in punt return and, they're in their own territory and you block it and our linemen struggle to scoop and score. Somehow the ball works its way all the way down to Ben, who picks it up in the end zone, is pretty great.
Love it. All right, Nick, looking forward to Saturday. How is Archie's, or preparing for this game against Archie's, looking and feeling different from preparing for Spellman? What is it that coach is drilling into you guys in preparation as what should be an even tougher matchup on Saturday?
Well, Spellman and Archie's are two completely different teams when it comes to their play style. In the film, you watch Spellman, they threw the ball maybe twice, 3 times, but Archie's threw the ball 30 times in their first game against Fiat. They're pass-heavy team. Okay. And they also have a good running back too. So we have to play a lot more. It's going to be a lot more balanced, and it's not just going to be blitzes 24/7. We have to be able to sit back and cover the pass too, because that's what they do. Is they throw the ball very well.
Are they in spread?
Yeah, they usually are in spread unless they get within like the 20 to 15 when they get in the red zone.
And in shotgun too?
Yes, spread shotgun, and then if they're not in spread and shotgun in the red zone, so within the 20, they'll go 2 tight ends, so they'll go clubs is what we call it. They'll go clubs, and then they'll go I form and run off of that.
That's exciting for us. Going to be there to watch the game, definitely.
We're looking forward to it a lot.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, I predicted last time that you guys were going to hold Spellman to 10 points, and it ended up being 6. So if I predict like 14 this time, you think you can do 10 or below? All right.
Do you have any thoughts on just how incredible the kicking game has been so far this year? I didn't know if you wanted to add anything to that.
Yeah, how does it feel knowing that that you can reliably put out a well-coached kicker for the extra points and short-range field goals?
I think that's very helpful to have this year. I think kicking last year was something because our kickers would be like Marcus sometime would be injured. Marcus was injured for a while, so we didn't really have like a steady kicker. But this year,
Kickers,
having
man.
3 different kickers is so helpful because that way we know we don't have to go down and have to rely on going for 2, or we can really have that like firm, strong kick, like special teams thing. Once again, the special teams, and we know that we can put 7 on the board consistently.
Good answer. All right. So I think we'll go to a little rapid fire. I'm glad that you didn't listen to the other football one because a few of them are going to be the same. But I got a few new ones for you as well. Nick, you'll go first, and then we'll let Mr. Hurst get a shot.
Nice.
What's your pregame meal if you're getting ready for a game?
Peanut butter sandwich.
If
Definitely
I
peanut
was a
butter
football player, it would be, I don't know, peanut butter sandwich sounds really good. So I think I might have to do that too.
Pre-podcast
Protein.
meal.
Yeah. Pre-podcast meal is this cup of coffee keeping me alive after another day of hybrid remote classes.
There you go. Okay, so fourth quarter, you guys are driving. Coach Golden calls you over, says, what play? It's 3rd and 7. What play are we going to? Your go-to.
3rd and 7, I'm probably going with 34-35 veer option. That play right now is probably our bread and butter, and it's just so dangerous because there's so many different ways that you can move the ball downfield, whether it's the dive back, the pitch back, or the quarterback keeping it himself. So I think that's probably the most dangerous play we have right now.
Based upon what we saw in the film, I think my go-to play is going to be the Dylan Aguiar QB sneak for 50 yards that works so effectively.
There you go. Another good answer. Who's your favorite all-time football player?
Lindanian Tomlinson.
Really?
Interesting.
Yeah, LT.
I really like that answer. That's like our generation. A lot of guys don't even know who that is. Good answer. He played for the Jets, you know.
Yeah, he played for the Chargers too. Oh, come on.
It's all right.
Besides Tom, my favorite was always Rodney Harrison growing up, so I'd have to say Rodney.
I liked him even though I didn't want to. Favorite athlete from another sport?
Probably Damian Lillard from Portland Trail Blazers, NBA.
It's a killer.
Yes, cold-blooded.
Mr. Hurst?
Wow. Favorite non-football player. Why is it so difficult? Diego Fagut. No, I'm kidding. We'll go with this is so like classic. I feel like I have to say
Eddie
Paul
Kane.
Pierce. That's so annoying, but I'm going to say Paul Pierce.
That's a good choice. That's all right.
Yeah, I guess so.
Nick, what's your favorite football movie?
Probably The Longest Yard.
Really? That's what Frankie said too. That's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
a
is
good
what Frankie
movie.
said.
It's a really good
I have to
movie.
go with Mr. Green. Remember the Titans. It's hard to beat. Remember the Titans.
I said Friday Night Lights. Dylan said Remember the Titans. I mean,
that's right.
listen, Nick, people our age, me and Mr. Hurst, like Remember the Titans is like ingrained in your mind. You've seen it like 1,000 times.
Lord.
You could quote the entire thing. That's just how it was. I mean, that was such an impactful movie. Other favorite other sports movie, so a non-football movie.
Jeez. I don't really watch any other sports movies other than actually no. I'm not gonna lie, The Benchwarmers is probably one of my favorite movies of all time.
That is
Benchwarmers a great
hilarious.
movie.
Yes, it is.
I like
Are we gonna
Warrior.
call-
It's the go for it.
Are we gonna count Talladega Nights as a sports movie too, or no?
I'm not gonna count that. Sorry.
I like Warrior. It's that like fictional UFC movie, but it makes me cry every time I watch it about the two brothers. I don't know. If you haven't
Tom
seen it,
Hardy.
you should watch it. Yeah, it's so
Tom
good.
Hardy.
Tom Hardy's the best.
All right. What was the first sports movie that you cried to, Nick? You can tell us.
Probably Rudy. That was a hard one. That was a hard one to watch.
That's what Dylan said that one as well. You guys are like on brand right now. Mr. Hurst, yours
I
was
already answered this last time. I said Creed made me cry. That's the last one I remember crying to. Was the first Creed movie.
Nick, you ever seen Hardball with Keanu Reeves?
No, I haven't.
Oh my gosh, I know exactly what you're talking about, Mr.
That's
Green.
what I said last time when G Baby gets. Oh man, G Baby.
You have to edit that out for spoilers. I mean, that's like the whole.
Yeah,
that's
you're
the
probably
whole
right.
Drama
You're
in the
probably
movie.
right.
You can't
All
ruin
right.
that for people.
Nick, do you watch the Harry Potter movies?
That's crazy because I've been binging the series the past like 3 days.
Perfect.
That's
Okay.
crazy.
Listen, major question. Okay.
Okay.
Coach McGonagall or Professor McGonagall? Who are you going with?
Coach McGonagall.
Okay.
You gotta
Good
go
choice.
Coach
All
Mac.
right.
Even if you're fighting the Dark Lord, you're still going to go Coach Mac.
Oh yeah, definitely. Especially going Coach Mac.
He's probably got some stuff up his sleeve, I'm sure.
Definitely
I might go
does.
Professor Mac because she has that pro move in the movie where she realizes that Harry can fly and she puts him on the Quidditch team.
Good call.
So she knows her sports too.
Nick, would you rather catch a long pass or make a big sack?
Probably have a big sack. I'm definitely more of a defensive person. So I think that's the only reason why. But catching a long pass is very, very tempting. That is a very nice thing to think about.
I don't want to hit someone. I've never done it, so that sounds fun.
Yeah, I think too with a sack, you always have the potential strip sack or like turning it over. If you force a fumble, it's like a double whammy, obviously. So this is a weird one. Would you rather play in 40-degree weather or 90-degree weather?
40-degree weather. Definitely
Why?
40-degree weather. I don't know. I've always played in the cold. Like playing sports, like I've played football forever. Playing in the cold is just what I've always done. And it's just like what I'm used to at this point. And it's just where I feel the most comfortable when it comes to weather.
I'll defer to Nick on that one because he knows more than I do there.
Nick, would you rather be tall and slow or short and fast?
I definitely, this is going to surprise a lot of people. I'm going to say short and fast. I think short and fast is a lot more helpful in the long run. So when it comes to, well, for me, I think it would come when it came to football, short and fast is what I'd rather be. Yeah.
Speaking as someone who's neither tall and slow nor short and fast, I think short and fast sounds better. I'm just average at both, but short and fast sounds fun.
All right, last one. We'll get you out of here on this. Favorite Coach Golden phrase, and if you can't think of a phrase, is your favorite Coach Golden moment?
Definitely Jiminy Christmas. That's a good one. That's a classic. That's a Coach Golden classic right there. Like you haven't been to a staying practice and not heard that before. So I think that would probably be my favorite from Coach.
All right, awesome.
All right, well, big thanks to Nick for taking some time after school before a long weekend to talk about himself and this upcoming game on Saturday. You can see Nick on our live stream on Saturday morning, which we don't currently know how exactly that's going to be accessed, but it will be there. There will be a live stream. Mr. Green will not fail in providing a live stream for Saturday's game. We hope everyone can join us in watching and talking through the game on Saturday as we get excited to see this, what should be a good, challenging matchup for our staying Spartans football team this year. Nick, any last thoughts before we say goodbye?
No, I just want to say thank you to you guys for having me, and go Spartans.
Go
Agreed.
Spartans.
Thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you guys.